Welcome back to the John Mendola Show here on WILK. We're approaching 10:48 in the morning on a beautiful Saturday with some rain and clouds. Hey, what are you going to do? We got to do it. And, of course, last night was pretty awful out there, but nonetheless, you got to play the game. And the Dallas area Mountaineers played the game against Honesdale. And Coach Rich Mannello joining us this morning. And, Coach, welcome into the show.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Honesdale, a feisty darn group, and of course you guys are getting ready here in the playoffs. So the opening game, sometimes you get a seed that's pretty darn tough, and Honesdale proved they were pretty challenging.
Yeah, I said it last night, and when we talked to their staff and meant it. Hats off to those guys. Their staff did a tremendous job. That football team was as advertised. That was the largest group we saw, and we were having all we can do at certain points in the game to match their physicality, and there were other points in the game where they out-physicaled us. So we got to get that squared away pretty quick. But Honesdale did a tremendous job. We managed to go through a season and not make a lot of mistakes, the avoidables, and we seemed to hit them all last night. Again, not to take anything away from Honesdale's effort, but we compounded some situations, and we're still able to overcome that. And when we had to at the end there, the offensive line did a nice job of taking over.
Coach, got to see you guys play about 4 times this year. It seemed as the season went along, you had guys take on bigger roles there at Dallas, and maybe some guys in a one-way fashion, Shaner and Esposito, guys like that. Take us through some of those guys over on the defensive side of the ball that have kind of honed in and really have been there as a steady and may not get that recognition.
Well, Xander Shaner's one of them. He's the one that pounced on that fumble at the end of the game to seal the game. And, he's a junior. He's in that class, did not play a snap of varsity football as a sophomore. He moved his bed into the weight room and just did a tremendous job in there. He grew 3 inches, and now he's a two-way starter and can play all 5 spots in the offensive line. So, it's a testament to him as a young man and, what that weight room does. He committed to it. He bought into it, and he loves the power clean. And he goes out there and he's changing both lines, because of his ability to play that way.
How about your linebacker play and what that's meant for you guys?
Well, we finally, 10 days ago was the first time that we had the linebacker unit back intact since June. So they're starting to fly around a little bit more. We're not seeing as much wheel hop out of them, when the ball snapped and we're getting downhill and, you look at inside backers, especially when it looks like they're tied together at the hip and they're moving on a string, that they're seeing things the right way and playing well. And we're starting to get there. We're not there yet. I mean, it's always it's a work in progress, but if we could stay healthy in that group, those are guys that can make plays.
And then, of course, some of your athletes that are able to get the ball into the end zone. Take us through some of those guys that have been the steady for you all season long.
The receivers, when, everybody knows what we do, John. We're an I-formation football team. We're going to run the ball off tackle. It's who we are. It's what we do. But to make that work, you have to have 2 receivers on the outside and a tight end in the middle, that could stretch a defense. And you can see that, when we're doing that well, it works because you put the back end of a defense in a jam. And then it becomes a chess match, down in distance. When are you going to take your chance to put that 8th and 9th guy in the box? And, so it all works together. Running it, protecting. And if you're running it well, it seems that the pass protection is never easy, but it gets more manageable. And then the timing of the routes, when those guys can, get down the field quickly, which they can move. It helps that entire pass game.
Yeah, and the specialty component I know you always talk about, but the punting and kicking and extra points, everything kind of matters in games here in the playoffs.
Well, we're at a time of the season where it's about details, and, our long snapper's been tremendous all year. He's just been in some horribly stressful situations and did well. Last night, he dribbled one back, and it turned into a safety. And we had to come back, obviously, on the very next play with a free kick, and we put Mick out there to punt it. And, he kicked it almost the entire length of the field from the minus 20-yard line, which that was a game changer. So those are, those hidden statistics that, nobody sees unless you're breaking down the film, that can change football games.
Warwick next week, physical, going to be another tough one. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure you and Sheppy will have some adjustments that you do, but somehow guys will go out and play the game, and it's a coin flipper.
Yeah, the first time that we played, I said to him that was one of the hardest hitting, cleanest football games I've seen at the high school level. The hitting that started right from the first snap right through the end of the game. It was just really something to see. When you can get a sense of that live on the sideline, that's when it really jumps out. When you're watching film and you're hitting that clicker and you can see it over and over, that's one thing. But to get a sense of that night, I mean, it was really something. Two, very sound fundamentally football teams, and on both sides of the football. And you're at a point of the year where you got to do what you do, and everybody knows what you're going to do, and let's go get it figured out.
Well, look forward to that next week, Coach. Good luck, and we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the opening playoff victory.
Thank you so much, John. Appreciate your support.
All right. That is head coach Rich Mannello there at Dallas area, and victory for them last night against Honesdale. Berwick victorious last night. They did the job against Pittston area, so they'll match up next week, and we'll see what that's all about. Valley View, of course, up on the upper end of the bracket, victorious. 10:54 here at WILK. We're going to talk some women's soccer. Mark Stoffer's going to join us. Let's take a time out, head out now to our local State Farm insurance agent, Noreen Thomas. Break. Like a good neighbor, Noreen Thomas and Clark Summit is there. We'll be back at WILK.